to the Rant and Review Pro Wrestling, and this is a commentary and a news break and a bunch of other stuff. But let's get into it this weekend. A lot of stuff happened. We had a tremendous match over in the UK between Gabe Kidd and Will Ospreay. Ospreay doing his exit tour from New Japan and all the local British promotions. So they have been hyping this match up for the past couple of weeks on social media in particular and on New Japan World. Gabe Kidd talking a lot of smack, Will Ospreay talking a lot of smack, and they got into this match and smacked each other around a lot. I definitely suggest you guys checking that out. I've said for a while, ever since he really joined the War Dogs in that whole G1 press conference, that Gabe Kidd, that's a star in the making. That's one of the guys. In a couple of years, people will be going, is he going to AEW? Is he going to show up at the Royal Rumble? He's going to be one of those guys. I can see it coming already. Great match again. I definitely go check it out if I was you. Other stuff that happened over the weekend, of course, we had a Ring of Honor's final pay-per-view of the year. Very much a tribute to the late Jay Briscoe. Still kind of crazy to imagine. I still have a hard time comprehending that he's actually passed away, and it was a while ago. Same thing with Bray Wyatt, but they had a great tribute match here with FTR and Mark Briscoe teaming up against the Blackpool Combat Club. I thought the show overall was a fairly decent show. I don't watch too many of the Ring of Honor shows or pay-per-views, but I enjoyed it for what it was. Keith Lee's match was really good. I enjoyed most of the stuff on the card. I really think that I did want to say a shout out to Tony Nese's match with All Ego Ethan Page. I think that was probably my low-key favorite match of the night. I really enjoyed the post-match commentary too from Ethan Page talking about. I mean, that's everything you want in a guy working for your company. Even though a lot of people see him, and somebody asked him the question about being demoted to Ring of Honor, and he's like, "Look, I think wherever company I'm working in is the best company in the world, and I'm going to help it get there. And if I need to be at AEW, I'll do the same when I'm in AEW." And I think that's a great attitude to have. Ethan Page realizes that, you know, for whatever reason, whether it's bad booking or whatever, he hasn't quite gotten to where a lot of people think he has the potential to get to. I think a couple months in Ring of Honor and more matches like this and more stuff with like he had with Kenny Omega last weekend on Collision, I think that's going to go a far way to helping him elevate his star in the world of professional wrestling. Speaking of Kenny Omega, of course, we're going to give our well wishes to the cleaner. If you don't know, I'm sure everybody has heard about this by now. Kenny Omega did release a statement on social media, I believe it was Thursday or Friday, that he is not going to be wrestling for an indefinite amount of time. We don't know if he'll be back, when he'll be back. He has diverticulitis from what I understand. And, the usual nonsense goes on wrestling social media. This is the same thing that Brock Lesnar had a couple of years ago. One of my neighbors had diverticulitis. It's pretty painful and excruciating when somebody goes through that kind of a thing. So we do wish Kenny a speedy recovery, despite what, some people who don't know any better will say. Those of us who follow Kenny Omega's career for the past 6, 7, 8, 9 years know that guy's put his body on the line to make wrestling a better place. And he's absolutely done that, in my opinion, and the opinion of anybody who actually knows anything about Kenny Omega. He definitely has done a lot and sacrificed a lot to make wrestling a better place. And I appreciate it, and I just hope he gets well soon and gets better soon. Over there in AEW Collision land, even though there wasn't any Kenny Omega, we did have the continuation of the Continental Classic. As I said, the storylines were going to play themselves out in the tournament, and as I've said many times, storyline does not mean you have to have a 15-minute promo. It does not mean backstage promos. Storylines are multiple things in the world of professional wrestling, and you can tell a storyline through a tournament. Those of us who watch New Japan for years know that New Japan storylines mostly happen, and especially in the big tournaments. And the same thing here. In this league, the Collision League, which I'm going to call it, Andrade El Idolo, my God, he's been start and stop, and both in WWE and AEW for a while. He has come on as like one of the biggest stars in this tournament. He's coming out of this thing looking like a mega star. Once again, picking up another win. He picked up wins over Bryan Danielson with that gruesome match where he was sticking his fingers in Danielson's orbital socket. That still makes my skin crawl. He had a brutal match for Brody King this past week on Dynamite. And he had another brutal match against Claudio Castagnoli, but this time he didn't win. Claudio, my God, another person who's kind of shining in this tournament. The way he cheated to win that match, because Andrade was trying to use the exposed turnbuckle that he had used to win his match against Brody King on Wednesday. Claudio saw this. Claudio was trying to get revenge back from Danielson, and all the stuff that Andrade did against Brody King and then Bryan Danielson kind of came back to bite him in the butt. Claudio took advantage of that. It looked like Andrade took a really nasty bump on the top rope and probably hurt his hamstring, but Claudio, in storyline, gave him a low blow while the referee was trying to replace the turnbuckle pad, gets the Auricolo bomb or whatever it is his finisher is, and got the pin, making this block, the Collision side of the tournament, very, very interesting. We also had Daniel Garcia, who's 0-4 in the tournament so far. He still hasn't picked up a win, even with Daddy Magic, whatever, Matt Menard outside the ring and on commentary trying to cheer him on. But he put up a big fight against Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston's another great story in this tournament. He is fighting for his life in every single match. Garcia probably should have won that match about 3 or 4 times, but Kingston managed to get the win and continues to try to hold on, desperately clinging on in every single one of these matches to his championships. That was great. And then Brody King, along with Bryan Danielson, rounded out the night with an amazing main event match. Danielson really eking out a win here. Brody King was brutalizing him for most of this match. Danielson and his orbital socket thing, it is really, it's a real story in this tournament. It's a real life injury. I'm kind of unsettled. And this is the thing I said about made the comparison of A24 and AEW, and some people, but I said that one of the reasons I was making a comparison is not a 1-to-1 comparison that they're exactly like A24, but like A24, AEW's pushing the boundaries, and the stuff with Hangman drinking the blood, and the stuff with Andrade in the orbital socket, and the stuff this week with the orbital socket, pushing the boundaries. Not only in that match with Danielson and Brody King, which, by the way, Danielson in post-match, he did the yes thing post-match, because this is his final year in wrestling. But we also had this crazy match in the women's division and women's tag match. Willow Nightingale took the nastiest looking table spot I've seen a woman take in all of wrestling. Looked like she probably was pretty banged up. Glass, thumbtacks, the girls can get it just as good as the guys. And that was a crazy tag match. That's the best Chris Statlander I've seen in a while. Statlander needs to work on her promo skills, but her presence is so awesome. And I just want her to get better with the promos. That was just, if you haven't seen that match, because I know a lot of people turn away from AEW women's matches, go and watch the one on Collision. That Texas Street Fight that they had, that was really, really good. In fact, all of Collision that I just watched, because I wasn't home on Saturday, I watched it just a couple hours ago. That whole night of Collision, this week's episode of Collision was really, really good. I definitely would suggest you guys checking it out. Over on the WWE side, AJ Styles, a lot of people have been asking where AJ is. He returned, confronted the Bloodline, looked like he was siding with LA Knight and Randy Orton, and then he turned on LA Knight, but not Randy Orton. But he wasn't joining the Bloodline. He walked past them. So the question is, and this is where Triple H does a great job with these things. Great job with setting up these plots. The beatdown itself was pretty lame, but this at the end made up for it in spades, because now the question is, well, we know why AJ went back against the Bloodline. He had a rivalry with them before he went away. But now that he's back, he's siding with Randy Orton, but he's apparently got a problem with LA Knight. So that goes back to some stuff in WWE. We're going to see how they play that coming up next week on SmackDown. But that's some more intrigue, some more of the mystery, some more of that very interesting wrestling storytelling that Triple H has been doing in WWE. As long as they keep doing stuff like that, these segments are going to work and people are going to be interested, because what it does is make people want to go, I want to see what happens next week. Why did AJ do what he did? I got to tune in next week to see it. That is classic television storytelling 101. So hats off to AJ, Triple H, and everybody in WWE for continuing to understand that and putting that in their weekly television product. Oh, well, before I get to that, Thunder Rosa did come back. I was going to cover that earlier in the week, but she came back on Collision. She's teaming up with Abaddon against Sky Black now. I guess we're calling it Sky Blue, Sky Black now, and Julia Hart. So very curious combination there. Again, another part of the AEW's women's division slowly becoming more interesting. It's not something that you can just turn the channel because you're not going to miss anything. If you turn the channel, you are going to miss something. And it's finally cool to see Thunder Rosa finally returning to the ring. She was on Spanish commentary. As soon as they cut over to her doing Spanish commentary, I'm like, she's getting back. She's coming back. She's going to run into one of these women's matches tonight, which she did. So that was pretty cool. But now to the last thing I was going to talk about is a lot of people have been asking me what I think about global Japan Pro Wrestling, which New Japan, a bunch of promotions, DDT, Pro Wrestling Noah, a bunch of the I think 9 Japanese promotions have all kind of unified. They've kind of unionized, and they've banded together. They're going to have a joint event to kind of solidify the Japanese pro wrestling scene. I would say more to protect the Japanese pro wrestling scene, because as much as I like Triple H and the way he's handling the booking in WWE now, one of the things I seriously do not like about Triple H in WWE in general is their desire to take over the entire world of wrestling and make it all under the WWE umbrella, and everybody's got to do the WWE style of wrestling. No. leave Mexico and leave Japan alone. You already screwed up the UK. This UK wrestling scene that was making a comeback last decade, gone. Well, it's not gone, but it has nowhere near the buzz it had 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And the Japanese, as a culture, are pretty insular. I'm not surprised they did this. This is something that I've heard about for a while. I didn't think it was actually going to happen. But now that it actually has happened, that all of those Japanese wrestling promotions are banding together to protect their tradition, to protect their heritage, to protect their style of pro wrestling, I can't do anything but applaud that. And together, they are much more powerful of being able to tell WWE, hey, we'll work with you, but don't kind of try to come over here and take over. And honestly speaking, and it's kind of goes the same way with Mexico to some extent, I don't see it. WWE could do it, but they're going to have a big fight on their hands, not only from the promotions, but from the fan bases in Japan and Mexico. Japan in particular, they like their stuff. They're not very big on foreigners. They don't want foreigners running their companies, despite the fact that the Japanese economy is up and down and kind of down right now. Some things may turn around. We'll see in the next week or so as far as the yen and what the yen's doing, but that's a whole other topic, probably for Wrestling with Finance. You want to check out that channel. But this, I'm happy to hear this. I'm happy to see that the Japanese companies are trying to protect their style of pro wrestling, because I don't care what anybody says, the pro wrestling fans, those of us who are actually fans of wrestling, we don't want to see the wrestling world be just one thing. If anybody can stop that from happening, I applaud them and I support them. But that's what I think about these things. What do you guys think about these topics? What do you think about New Japan, Noah, DDT, and all those promotions banding together under the new global Japanese pro wrestling banner? What do you think about AJ Styles? Why did he go after LA Knight? Is he going to turn heel? Is he going to the bloodline, or is he going to be a tweener? What do you think about what's going on over there in AEW with the women's division? Is it getting a little bit better? And what do you think about the Continental Classic as we're heading into the last week, and then we're going to head into the semifinals, and then of course World's End, the pay-per-view at the end of the year. So much going on in the world of pro wrestling, sports, entertainment. It's a lot of fun. But again, I want to know what you guys think in the comment box below. And until next time, I'll see you guys here for more news, rumors, and commentary on the Rant and Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.